What is up, Green Bay Packers fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Draft, brought to you by the good folks. We're going to give them some big time screen time here at Badger State Brewing in Green Bay, Wisconsin, just minutes away from beautiful Lambeau Field. I am your host and the publisher. It's about Lost Christian there, and the publisher of Packer Report, Ross Uglum. And today, I talked about Edgerrin Cooper as what I thought was their best pick. Not their most valuable pick, not my favorite pick, but their best pick. Today is my favorite pick. MarShawn Lloyd, when it came up in the DMs that it was going to be MarShawn Lloyd, the people at the Badger State Brewing, they could see. They could see the little fist pump. They knew it was a good pick. I think I actually grabbed the mic and said, you guys are going to like this one. Just the fit, man. MarShawn Lloyd was like my top running back for the Green Bay Packers. Brian Gutekunst talks about that a lot. They don't scout for the National Football League. They scout for the Green Bay Packers because people ask like, hey, we hear a lot about best player available, but do you really do that? And as he mentions, yeah, we try to, but our roster, our needs are baked into our board for that year. So yeah, we're going to address our needs as a football team and what we feel like we need to add to the roster. And I think that makes total sense. I think very few teams are actually just taking the best player, regardless of what they have on their own rosters, and just ignoring their own deficiencies as a football team. I don't think that happens as often as GMs would say, or so-called draft experts. Oh, BPA. I don't know how real BPA is. Lloyd, though, for me, was just such a great fit. So what they don't have, if that makes any sense. And truly, and people, I mentioned the draft party at Badger State. People will say I'm BSing here, but I'm not. I said in front of I got asked the question, who do you think can are the top backs in this class, or who do you think can be a feature back? I said what I said all draft season, and that I didn't really believe like this draft had a ton of feature backs. I thought Jonathan Brooks was the number one guy that had a chance to kind of be able to do everything and be your top guy, your Breece Hall, right? The number one dude, the Najee Harris, whatever you think of those guys that are getting, kind of the lion's share of the snaps, and what the Bears drafted David Montgomery to be, right? Like those guys, I thought were few and far between in this class. I did say if anybody besides Jonathan Brooks ends up being the guy, I think it's going to be MarShawn Lloyd. And he was my favorite guy for the Packers because he just brings to the table so many things that they didn't already have on the roster. Scouting report wise, really interesting dude. 5'8" and 3/4, 220. So few running backs in NFL history at sub 5'9" and then at 220 pounds. Not a common thing. The archetype is Emmitt Smith. That's the excuse me, that is the the one that worked out the best, but very odd body. You talk about 14th percentile height, 70th percentile weight. Those two things don't come in the same place very often. That's an odd combination. Athletic profile wise, though, that 4.4 640, special speed, strong dude, very strong breaking tackles and forcing missed tackles. And again, you're talking about a bench. I don't love the bench as a huge mark for NFL strength. I think there's much more important ways to show football strength than the bench press. With that said, for running back to do 25 reps, I'm gonna act impressed by that. That is impressive to me. But you talk about that true second gear, and I love Aaron Jones. I love everything that he did as a Green Bay Packer. He made me very right, which is just a personal thing. Like I was high on Aaron Jones in the draft. I got super high on him in the preseason. Railed on McCarthy for not using him more. Like, he made me sound smart, and I'll always appreciate him for that. Very inconsequential to his overall effect on the Green Bay Packers, the fact that he made me right, but that's something that I'll always appreciate about Aaron Jones. Super nice dude, but it's going to look like you're watching a completely different thing because, MarShawn Lloyd would have smoked Aaron Jones when they were the same age. Now, I mean, this is real second, third gear, fourth gear speed that the Packers just have not had in that room, don't have in that room now. Even if Josh Jacobs is everything Green Bay hopes that he could be, even if Josh Jacobs is 2022 Josh Jacobs, he doesn't have this gear that MarShawn Lloyd has. He is just, like I said, everything that they don't have. And that's why he's such a great fit. Plus, I think there's a chance he can do everything. We'll go back to the scouting report thing because I don't think I did a MarShawn Lloyd prospect primer, which now makes me sad because I literally took him in the Green Bay draft. I loved him for the Packers, thought he was a perfect fit. He's my RB3. He was a Pac-12 guy. Like, why did I not do this video? I don't know. But if you take my top running backs, which in order, you take my top 10 running backs, Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson, Lloyd, Braylon Allen, Jalen Wright, Blake Corum, Will Shipley, Dylan Laub, Ray Davis, and then Isaac Orendo. Excuse me. And if you just took their best 12 to 15 plays and did a 2-minute highlight video with some gaga, whatever, goes into highlight videos, you played all of those videos. Any fan or anybody watching would say, well, the kid from USC is the best one. Like, his highs are higher than anybody else's highs, higher than Brooks's highs, higher than Corum's highs, higher than all the highs. He is the freaking man if you're talking about just doing crazy stuff. And he showed that thing of him hurdling a guy. I have a bunch of explosives on there. He's an incredible football player with the ball in his hands, man. Now, his tendency currently, and what I think might drive Matt insane, unless that you can be coached really well, is that he likes to hit a home run or he likes to strike out. And sometimes those strikeouts are, okay, well, there were 3 yards there, and you made this a -1 because you tried to do too much. That's sort of a tolerable home run strikeout type situation. His tendency to put the football on the ground is not workable. And that actually does need to get fixed because those negatives are what made him not the first running back off the board. Those negatives are what made him a late round 3 guy instead of a mid round 2 guy, which his highlight tape would put him at the tail end of round 1 or the very, very beginning of round 2, where you have seen some backs go. His highs, the things he can do, MarShawn Lloyd can do anything and everything that Jahmyr Gibbs can do for Detroit. And this that gets cut and aggregated, I don't care. The problems with MarShawn Lloyd or his struggles are real and are why he was probably a 3rd-round pick. But you iron some of that stuff out. Like I said, I think he's one of 2 guys in this class that I truly believe can be a number 1 running back. Just quit the fumbling. I think you can even live with some of the boomer bust stuff, especially with how consistent Dylan is and how consistent Jacobs is. Whatever, you give 8 touches, 9 touches, 10 touches to MarShawn Lloyd in your game plan, and if he bats 300, you get 3 explosives out of it. Cool. Awesome. We get our consistent stuff from Dylan and Jacobs. Like, that makes a ton of sense. But again, I think if everything hits, like if MarShawn Lloyd reaches his 80th percentile outcome, reduces the fumbles, can be taught a little bit about patience and vision, or even not even patience and vision, just humility. And by the way, he's an awesome kid and an awesome player. I don't want to take that away from him. But if 50% more 3-yard cloud of dust and 50% less insanity, he's a Pro Bowler to me. That's his talent level to me when I watch him play. And it's not like the Pac-12 had the best defenses in the world, but you can go look in the top 150 in this draft and you can find plenty of Pac-12 defenders taken. It's not a broken league. And plus he played a bunch in the SEC and was good there too. That's why the other USC wanted him. Looking forward from a fit perspective, like I said, it's just flawless, especially if they're going to try some of this H-back stuff, some of this, DeGuara, like Henry Pearson hybrid, whatever role with A.J. Dillon. MarShawn Lloyd is an unbelievable number 2 back to pair with Josh Jacobs. Not only because he hits you with a different thing, but he's young. He's fresh. He's ready to go. Got to clean up the pass pro stuff. Can't fumble. Can't fumble. Can't get Jordan Love killed. If MarShawn Lloyd doesn't play, I think it's probably going to be one of those two things. If he doesn't contribute in a meaningful way in 2024, I think it's going to be one of those two things. Can't fumble the ball. Can't get Jordan Love killed. No, he's 5'0", 220, and he benches 225 25 times. Somebody should be able to teach this kid how to pass pro. I think that's a fixable problem, and Brian Gutekunst mentions that he thinks that the other problem is fixable. The fumbling problem. Goody thought that he used the word correctable. Looking forward, I think if he hits if we're talking about like his 50th percentile outcome, the most likely outcome, I think he's an awesome number 2 back to Josh Jacobs. And if that thing doesn't go the way they want, I think Green Bay has probably 2 years. They probably have to hang on to Jacobs. After that, they don't. I think MarShawn Lloyd could be a great, 3rd year, 4th year back to pair with a bigger back that you then go and draft after your, A.J. Dillon and Josh Jacobs things have run their course. And look, maybe Jacobs stays with the team long term. He's not very old. And if that happens, I think that's even more exciting than, MarShawn Lloyd is just what connects your current running back room to your next one. I think it's more exciting if you can keep these two guys together, and everybody, the concept or the verbiage of thunder and lightning has been done to death. But I just think, boy, what those two could be together, the way that Matt wants to run the ball, and then truly, I mean, the threat, like the Packers, and look, I don't know how long they're going to be able to keep them together. There could be some regression. Musgrave gets hurt. Christian gets hurt. Like, there's plenty of guys that have injury issues in the past. In fact, I think they've all missed time, other than maybe Kraft. But if Green Bay's top 6 weapons, that being Watson, Wicks, Reed, Dobbs, Musgrave, Kraft, you're not going to be able to load the box. You're just not. Like, Green Bay is going to be running into 6 and 7 man boxes. Otherwise, Love and these weapons are just there to going to kill people. And I know, you've seen these roster things. Well, Minnesota's better here or Detroit's better here. I don't think, and I don't pay enough attention, I guess, to the rest of the league to tell you definitively. From just a talent perspective, I don't know who's going 6 deep like the Packers are going 6 deep in that way. I just don't. I think you got a couple of teams that have some really good 1-2 punches at wide receiver. Maybe a couple of those teams have a good tight end. And there's a ton left to prove for all of these weapons that I'm talking about with Green Bay. But, man, you talk about draft pedigree, you talk about talent level, you talk about a development track. MarShawn Lloyd and Josh Jacobs could be running against some light boxes, man. And they could make the play-action pass extremely effective for Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur. And that's really exciting. Long-term, I think this was an absolute home run pick. It was my favorite pick of the draft. With that said, though, I don't know that you would say, well, if it's your favorite pick in the draft, you'd be surprised if it doesn't work out, right? Yes and no. I kind of know, by the way, sorry, Badger State. Got to fix the brand there. I know why this might not work out. Pass pro and ball security. But, man, if those things get better, this could be a very, very exciting football player in 2024 and then beyond, whether it is emerging as a feature back and allowing you to, go cheaper than Josh Jacobs, or whether it's just being like this killer 1-2 punch, just making defenses throw their hands in the air because of how deep Green Bay is in the receiving core as well. Love this pick. Love the player. Very excited with this look forward at MarShawn Lloyd. Guys, thank you so much for watching or listening. If you're on the podcast side, check out our new Packer Report shop with the Campeche Collective. There's some really cool stuff. There's some old school stuff there. That's kind of our vibe. We honor the tradition of the 13-time world champion Green Bay Packers. Maybe Andy can throw a link to the store. That'd be cool. Other than that, though, check us out over at Packer Report. Check me out. I'm at Ross Uglum on X, formerly known as Twitter. And then do everything you're supposed to do here at the Pack-A-Day Podcast YouTube feed. Like, subscribe, click the bell, get the notifications so that you can get all of the Packers content that you require on a daily basis. Have a great rest of your day, folks, and go Pack Go.